Hello, everyone. For those of you that don't, my name is Jackie. This is quite new for me, live streaming into YouTube. Normally, I do this at the start of a month, but I do it into a private Facebook group. And this year, I've decided to really radically change everything. So I am going to be here live streaming from this channel at the start of every month for the rest of the year. And we're just going to see how it goes, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Now, what I'm going to be talking about is every single month I work with a academy of people that live around the globe, and every single month we focus on a really particular concept that we want to dive into. We want to pull it apart. We want to look at what it means to us, how we can improve our relationship to it, if it holds us back in any area of our lives, if in fact that concept has much bigger, deeper meanings to us and perhaps affects our psychology or our health in any way, shape or form. So we have some really cool tools, and we do some really, really interesting things that helps us to be able to radically change all that and shift us out of those states into new healthy states, just having a much better relationship with ourselves, the people around us, the world around us. So that's what we're going to be focusing on doing. As you come in, please let me know who is there, so I'm not just speaking to the number of the little people that it says is up there for me. I really love to know your name, and if I don't know you, then where you're actually tuning in from. That would be fabulous. I'm based in Queensland, Australia, where I live. It's nice and warm at the moment. So the concept that we're checking out this month, and by the way, it doesn't matter whether you are part of this community or academy or not. Every single month, we're going to be kind of diving into concepts and discussing them. So you're going to benefit no matter what. It's just really a place where, I know all my members can get access to it, and we can contribute to each other's conversation here, but also then it invites everyone else in if you want to be part of that. So I think it's going to be win-win for everybody. They're not going to go for very long. I'm just basically introducing concepts and having a bit of a chat about that. What was interesting was that when I was sitting down and working through the process, and I kind of go into a real meditative state when I'm looking at what are all the group series of sessions going to be about that we're going to do for the whole year. Because in every single month we do 3 group sessions, and so that makes it 36 sessions for the whole year. And as I said, every single month is a particular theme, a particular focus, and it's different every single month to every single year since we've been doing them. They're all different. And what was interesting to me is that this year the focus seems to be extremely clear, concise, straight to the point. And for the first time since My Incredible Orbit started, we have series of sessions that just have a title or a heading, I suppose you'd call it, that is one word. That's it. Whereas in the past, we might have had a series of sessions that focused on new beginnings, or I love money and money loves me, or career and our chosen path, or something like that. I'm trying to remember some ones that we've done. But this is very, very different. It's just one word. And then it's like we're going to really branch out from that one concept and see whatever comes up around it that we need to address. That's really a big priority for us right now. And the one that we're starting on this month is is Vortex. That's the name of it. And that relates to all of our January sessions. The first session actually starts tomorrow afternoon. So for those members, I know I've already told you before, but it will be 5:30 p.m. Brisbane time, or Australian Eastern Standard Time. So when we look at this word vortex, my feeling is that not only is it the series of sessions that we need to focus on for the month, but it's also our collective innate wisdom's ways of saying this is going to be a big deal for the whole of 2021. understanding what your vortex is, understanding how vortex works, understanding that vortex consciousness and what it could potentially mean for you is a really, really powerful thing. And if we do it now, early at the start of the year, it's going to set you up in really good stead for the remainder of the year and all the other series of sessions that we are going to move through, right? So you might have heard of this word used before, and it's probably been used in so many different ways. Every single person is going to have a very different relationship to this concept of vortex. So maybe I want you to just think about right now what this word means to you. When you say the word vortex, when you engage your five senses and you see this energy of vortex around you or in you, or you being in your vortex, what does that mean? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? Does it have a smell even? Because everything you can connect with using all your five senses, right? So just give some pause and think about, well, what does vortex mean to be me? What's my relationship with it? Everyone will have also what we call belief systems around this world. Some people's belief systems might be something like, I've never been in my vortex, or I keep going out of my vortex all the time. That's a belief system. And the reason why I say that is because then that'll be what always happens, is that vortex will shift. Your ability to be able to be in the flow of your vortex, it will shift on you. So there's probably quite a few belief systems hidden, probably more deeply in the subconscious, where that would have an impact on your ability to be able to go into and then stay in your vortex, and definitely would sabotage you and prevent you from being able to stay in there. You might get in there for little moments of time, but then you find that you easily shift out of it, not really understanding what's going on. Sometimes those belief systems can be very much handed down. They can be an ancestral belief system that vortex, or another way that, or another terminology that gets used for vortex is vibrational reality or flow or manifestation, particularly law of attraction, right? So that's quite a few different spin-offs of it. And when someone is in their vortex, quite often what they will associate that energy with, because it gives you a very particular experience in your entire body-mind complex. So sometimes people will call that love or love consciousness. Sometimes people will call it God. Sometimes people will call it spirit. Sometimes people will call it just flow or the law of attraction or manifestation, as I said before. So none of those are right nor wrong. It's what is right for you. It's what aligns with you. It's what your personal truth is. So it's going to be perfect no matter what comes up for you. What this will be able to do. So the first thing is we're going to be looking at any potential belief systems that exist around this concept of vortex, or its consciousness, because we want its consciousness to be able to express itself from within the body-mind complex as healthy and as vibrantly as it possibly can. And sometimes that doesn't happen as well as it could because of belief systems. Other times it can because of blockages and so forth like that, and I'm going to go into that in a few minutes' time. So we can definitely address this from multiple, actually unlimited, but multiple different standpoints, understanding that everybody's really unique, and the reason why it's either not really known to you completely what this consciousness vortex is, or maybe why the consciousness of vortex doesn't express itself within you very well, that's going to be different for everybody. And what we're going to be focusing on doing in this series of sessions is finding out what we need to do to repair that within everybody. And then it's a matter of getting everyone really familiar with, well, what actually is this consciousness of vortex? What does it speak to? It speaks to our ability to be able to go into our vortex. So if we realize for some reason that we're out of it, maybe something stressful's happened, maybe there's something traumatic that's going on. This can be so many different reasons why, you know. It can be just that you've had a big day and you're really exhausted. That can be enough to pull anyone out of their vortex. But the moment you recognize and realize, gosh, I've shifted out of that space, and you'll know it because you feel out of alignment, you'll feel out of whack, you'll feel easy to trigger. Things could push your buttons quite easily. There's a whole host of experiences that you could have. So we're going to be looking at what are some easy ways to be able to shift into your vortex. And it's going to be interesting to see what comes up, because it might be some very quick, easy visualization process that we do. It could be some other form of practical action that you do. Quite often something physical with the body is a really nice trigger and easy for getting someone into that space of vortex consciousness, super easy. And then once you're in there, you know you're in there because your whole physical, emotional, mental, vibrational experience completely changes. It instantly feels like you have ease. You have ease in your body, in your mind, in your heart. You have ease in your life. So that's one of the big things that people will talk about, how they feel at ease. There's a level of peace that also comes with this, a feeling of vibrancy, energy. So when people have perhaps come to the end of the day and they've thought, gosh, I'm really exhausted, and then they've realized I'm really out of vortex here, really out of vortex, and they've done whatever has worked for them, whatever they've done, their little process to align them back again into that consciousness of vortex, they've instantly said how they feel in flow, how they feel that they're more connected to their body, that they really feel but are also able to embody this consciousness of love, or this feeling of love. Their mind quietens down. They can really connect into their body and parts of the body that maybe need a little bit of attention. So we're going to be focusing on potential areas also of the body-mind complex that speak to this concept of vortex. Now, technically speaking, every single body part has its own vortex energy, particularly big areas like the head brain, the heart, the vagus nerve, the thalamus inside the brain, the thyroid, different bones and joints, sacrum, the knees, the feet. Every single part has its own vortex energy. And what that will be helping those parts to do is to really stay not only in alignment with where they are most naturally designed to sit, to be optimized to work so well, like to the absolute optimal of its potential. But the other thing is that every single part of the body expresses its own consciousness. So it's like having its own personality. That's the best way to think of it, is that every single part has its own personality traits. And every single body part having its own personality traits or its own consciousness is always very unique to that body part. So what the consciousness of the liver is for me will be the same as what the consciousness or the personality of the liver is for you. It's the same in everyone. It's universal. And what that will mean is if we have these parts of the body-mind complex that are then in their vortex, they're in alignment with how they are naturally meant to sit, then it means that, and be positioned in the body is what I mean, is that that consciousness of vortex will very, very much help the consciousness to be able to be expressed through that body part properly. Okay, so let's talk about the heart for a second. I'm going to use that as an example because this year in My Incredible Orbit, we're really going to be focusing a lot on heart energy and heart consciousness. It has a lot to do with harmony. It has a lot to do with love. It has a lot to do with bonding and connection. And holy cow, are we going to need that this year to focus on, to learn how to do that and be that within ourselves, but then also how to project that out into the world and connect with other people in the same way. So let's talk about the heart for a second. It is quite common that the heart can actually go out of its vortex. It can go out of alignment, and that can be for really simple reasons. A significant illness can actually knock the heart out a little bit, and it just has to be a tiny bit of a millimeter, and then all of a sudden the heart is out of vortex. It can be from getting bumped around in a car accident. It can be from a surgery, and I've had that come up in client sessions a lot when clients have had to have any type of surgery in the chest area where they've had to work directly on the heart or move the heart around. Quite often what it does is then it shifts the heart out of its alignment, aka out of its vortex. When it does that, then the heart is not able to express its consciousness in the way that it's intended. So quite often then those people can struggle with, you know, being able to connect with other people, with being able to bond and hold, you know, beautiful bonded relationships without, they're not able to feel love or express love or connecting with love with somebody else, but let alone love with themselves. And that's the biggest relationship ever, right? Biggest one that you'll ever have is the one with yourself. Definitely will prevent somebody from feeling in harmony with life or at peace with life. And instead of life being this harmonious process, it can just be experienced as drama and conflict and this feeling like there's one thing after the other. The interesting thing, though, is that when the alignment of the heart is repaired by addressing that vortex energy, it shifts it very, very quickly, sometimes in a few hours, sometimes over a few days. And that profoundly affects the person's ability to be able to experience those consciousness aspects of love, connection, groundedness, bonding, harmony, right? Things like that. So this potentially could be really big for us because there could be specific parts to the body-mind complex that are not in their vortex energy. And ones that come up for me, as I said, are the head brain, the heart brain, possibly even the gut brain. Could be aspects of the immune system or the human microbiome. Another one that comes up for me potentially is the pineal gland inside the brain, or the pituitary gland, because there are things that have been in our environment and that we've been interacting with for a long time now that seem to have quite a detrimental effect on different hormone glands such as the pineal and the pituitary. So they kind of really come up for me as ahead of time as being potentially something that will raise its head saying, hey, can you support me back into being in vortex so that I can function better and so that ultimately then the person functions better. Yes, they are hormone glands, but those hormone glands have such a huge amount to do with somebody's spiritual journey and their ability to be able to get much better access to their intuition and their instinctual abilities. So it's going to be very, very interesting. The bottom of the feet are very much associated with grounding, the direction that we're walking in, where we're standing right now, where we're pointing. So where we're pointing is usually the direction that we're going in. And that could, all those concepts could definitely come up in this series of sessions. The other thing that came up for me that could be a potential interesting thing that we look at is we form a strong vortex connection with things as we go along through our life. And they can be the area, places where we've lived or the areas that we've lived. They can be to specific events that we've been through, or even to people. It is quite a long list. So they're the usual things that we get quite connected through and form a real vortex connection energy to. And then it's a case that, wherever you go in the world, you have this entanglement with that thing and also it with you as well. Now, sometimes that's a really good thing. It's a healthy thing. And sometimes it's not. And I was going to say it's not often the case, but it's quite common that those entanglements between that vortex connection between you and the place, or you and the person, or it could be a relationship, it could be anything, right? It could be something that you saw that really affected you, is that it didn't disconnect for a lot of different reasons that can happen. And if it doesn't resolve, if it doesn't disconnect, then it means that you can have a very strong vortex connected energy to it without even knowing. And holy cow, can that affect your life in so many different ways. So I also have a feeling that we're potentially going to be able to address some of those that may be sitting there, because I don't really know of any one person where it's not going to be a factor. It's always going to be there to some degree. And I think that in large, the reason for that, why that would still be there, why somebody would still have a strong, connected vortex energy to someone or something, is because we, generally speaking, lead really busy, full-on, quite high stressful lives, a lot more stress in people's lives than what they actually acknowledge as stress. And because of the way that we live our lives, it doesn't give us the ability to properly digest what's happened to us on this day and come to terms with it and reconcile it to the point where I understand what's happened, why it's happened, what I learnt from it, and then take that learning and put it into practical action where it brings change, or I just take that learning and convert it into wisdom so it can be used at a later date. Because that doesn't happen nowhere near to the degree that we really need it to happen for us to be really healthy and really happy and really free in our minds, then it means that it's leftover things to do, basically. And we still carry that connection around. So as I said, sometimes these connections are actually really good vortex connections. So we definitely won't be needing to do anything around those. Actually, now I say that, maybe it might be a priority that we need to strengthen some. Who knows? We won't know until we get in there and we do these sessions. So yeah, the common experiences that people are going to have from coming into this vortex energy is going to be speaking to feelings and experiences of feeling more like you're in flow. That energy of just everything flows. How beautiful would that be to have that as more of a constant everyday process of being focused. That's so many times when I get people's, health and wellbeing forms through, it's one of the things that they'll say when I say, what are you seeking help for? Love more clarity and to be more focused. Well, there you go. We can do a lot of that work with this vortex energy. A feeling of contentment, I think I mentioned that earlier, of being connected, primarily connected to self. That's very powerful because that then repairs your relationship to you, your ability to love yourself utterly and completely, and then your ability to be able to love others in the same way. Love, which we've just spoken about, but as a feeling, as an experience, emanating it as a consciousness. And the other one is wholeness. What a beautiful experience to feel whole, because then there's no lack of, there's no, I need to do this, or I need to change that person, or I need to convince them of, or I desperately need this for it to be in my life, for me to be okay. There's just wholeness. Everything's perfect. Everything's a-okay. Everything's whole in that space, okay? This consciousness of vortex that we're going to be working with is also probably going to be looking a lot at alignment, because when you are easily able to be more focused in being in this vortex consciousness, it is going to automatically mean that you are in alignment with the direction you need to be heading in. It means that you're in alignment with what is the most important thing for you to be doing right now. So it means you can weed out a lot of misinformation and a lot of confusion about potentially other things, especially if you're getting offers about lots of different things. That vortex consciousness helps you shift through that. Discernment becomes easier, and you can hone in on what is the most important thing for me to do. I'll pick that. Thank you very much. And then moving forward. And a few people, there's a term or a word that came up for me as I was sitting with this, North Node. And I know a lot of people have used that over the years, where you're following your North Node, or you're pointed towards your North Node. So if that resonates with you, then that will be wonderful. And another one that is going to happen effortlessly, and I love this one for this year, is it is effortless then to stay in your own lane. This consciousness of vortex means I stay in my own lane. It means I don't get distracted with what others are doing. I stay in my own lane. I can observe what's going on out there, but I stay in my own lane. It means I don't mind what people think of me, or it doesn't matter what people think of me. I stay in my own lane. So it really is about fine-tuning, eliminating, becoming super focused, but doing it with ease, not super focused in a way of, we need to mind map this and brainstorm this, and it's going to take 3 months and you're going to have to put in a lot of hard work. And no, just let's do it easy. Let's do it easy. Yeah. Okay then. So the other thing, and this came up for me a lot because it is a huge focal feature for us right now. It has been for I don't know how many years, but a long, long, long time, going back through, oh gosh, I couldn't even put a number on how long this has been around for, is looking at the relationship with money, the consciousness of money. Everything has a consciousness, and you have a relationship to the consciousness of money, right? That is really clearly defined by belief systems and experiences and generations before you, their belief systems. There's so much involved in that. And money, wealth, finances are a huge talking point for us on this planet right now. As I said, it has been for a long time. You know, we don't live in a world where we barter. We deal with money and the consciousness of money. So it's also important that then for us to have a healthy relationship with the consciousness of money, that we be in healthy vortex to money, and that money be in healthy vortex or alignment in flow to us, and that we're not in alignment with somebody else's vortex of money. We're not entangled in their stuff, their story, their deception, their corruptiveness, their whatever, you know. So I have a feeling too that potentially this, you know, several of the very big focal features for us that are on our planet right now, they could show up in more general ways of, let's look at their vortex energy in relation to our vortex energy. Okay. I am really, really pumped for this series of sessions, and I'm super keen to see what comes up around that. If you have any questions about any of that, if anything that I've said has kind of brought up, you know, internal questions for yourself, or you've seen yourself in something that I've talked about, or you can relate to it with you, your family, friends around you, then by all means, pop it into the comments. Tell me what you thought. Tell me if it resonated for you. And for my incredible Orbit members, I'm going to see you tomorrow afternoon where we do the first session out of this 3-session package that we do for January. And if anyone's interested in knowing what the My Incredible Orbit Academy and global community is about, I link into the comments below. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you guys super soon. Bye for now.